Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel Reviewed, where we talk about all things television and film from today and yesteryear. So I wanted to come on here and do a quick review of episodes 1 and 2 from Harlem season 3. Let's get to it. So the season basically starts off with Ian and Camille parting ways, okay? So, they break up but they decide to stay cut buddies, okay? At some point through them hooking up, and they hook up quite a bit. Ian, he is like, "Oh shoot, I gotta go. I gotta meet somebody." And Camille's like, "Oh, you seeing somebody?" He's like, "Yeah, so I'm not gonna be sleeping over." She's like, "Okay, yeah, cool, well, we're just hooking up, it is what it is." So flash forward 2 months later, Ian basically starts blowing her off, or should I say he's just not responding to her at all. So she gets to the point where she starts blowing him up, and she's starting to feel away because she's like, every time I call him, he will come over here and we will hook up. But at this point, he is no longer interested because he has met someone else. So it also happens in the episode, Camille ends up getting a call from Dr. Pruitt, and Dr. Pruitt basically apologizes to her. She's like, "I'm sorry when I told you that you were not ready to become a tenured professor." And so, Camille is like, "Well, thank you so much for that. But however, I will no longer be teaching here at Columbia University. I've decided to, go ahead and start writing my book." And so, Dr. Pruitt is a little shocked. She's taken aback, but she's also happy for her. And, she basically just gives her blessing. And she says that she would, it was something that she agreed to do for Camille in reference to her book. So, of course, Camille is excited about that. And this is just Dr. Pruitt giving Camille a hug because Camille finally laid her down because Dr. Pruitt's like, "Honey, I don't do hugs," but, she ended up caving in. We also get a moment from Ty. Ty is trying to get her app. She's trying to grow her business and expand. And she ends up linking up with Eva. Sidebar, I love this chick that played Eva. She played in Snowfall and P Valley. She's such a good actress. So I'm glad she's on the show. Okay, so Ty is working with her and her company to try to basically, like I said, expand her app or whatnot. I really don't care for Ty though. I just don't. So Camille ends up meeting up with Ty and Quinn. Quinn's character this season appears to be all about self reflection and just basically taking a break from dating and just trying to work on herself and just, do what she do best and dress the hell out of people. Okay. So anyway, they end up meeting for lunch, and Camille is basically giving them the rundown on what's been going on with her and Ian. She's like, "Yeah, we're in our separate ways, but we've been hooking up, we've been sleeping together. But lately he has not been responding to me, honey." And so while she's sitting down there telling them about the goings on with Ian ends up walking into a restaurant. Camille is like, Ian, she's calling him, and he basically pays her dust. And some chick ends up walking up. Her name is Portia, and come to find out, Portia is like a childhood friend, and clearly this is the young lady Ian has been paying Camille dust for. Of course, Camille is in her feelings, honey. She is feeling away. She starts sending a text message. It's like, "Don't send that text message." Y'all know how we get. We do not think before we speak or before we act on something when we are in our feelings over a Negro. Okay. And Camille did just that, honey. She went on impulse and she sent him a text message. She's like, "Oh my God, I should have sent that." But of course, the text message has been sent. So everybody is like, okay, Ian is not playing no games. And honestly, I can't even be mad at him because Camille be Camilleing. Okay. So Quinn styles this young lady who invites her to a leftover party. I guess that's what she calls it. And Angie ends up showing up to this party. Angie been all in Wonderland with her fiance Mike, who, by the way, I absolutely do not believe she is going to marry. That is just my opinion. I do not foresee those two going down the aisle. We'll get to that later. So they're at this party. Quinn she invited all the girls, but Ty decided not to go because Ty says she is on a road of celibacy, and she need to sit her behind down because Ty is a whole hot ass mess. Okay. So anyway, they're at this party, and Ian finally responds to Camille's text that Camille sent to him back at the restaurant. So Camille's like, it's so cute. I love this show because this is how we are women when we get around our girlfriends. We just do some childish stuff. We literally do not think before we respond or before we speak sometimes when we are just in the midst of our feelings over a guy. Seriously, it's so cute. Um, Anyway, Camille ends up going into the bathroom and she ends up sending him a text message or whatever. And girl, She is literally in her feelings. See how I just said girl like I'm talking to my girlfriends, because it just be that way sometimes. Okay. So, Quinn is making her rounds through the party and she ends up running into this guy named Seth. Sidebar, y'all. I watched Kofi play Ralph Angel all through its entirety of Queen Sugar. And I'm sorry, Sir Still is not the best actor, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, back to the show. So she ends up meeting Seth. They hit it off. And, again, Quinn is at the point in her life where she's just like, it's all about me. I just want to concentrate on myself and concentrate on my business and XYZ. And you know what they say, when you take a break from trying to find love, that's when it'll find you. When you start to concentrate on yourself and things like that, that's when love finds you. At least that's how it happens on TV, honey, because in the real world, that's some BS, if you ask me. But anyway, so she and Seth end up hitting it off, and they are both in agreement that they're not necessarily looking for anything serious, just a good time. But we also see later on that she ends up becoming his stylist. She dresses him for the ESPYs or some award show. I guess he's like a baseball player. He's something in the sports entertainment industry. So she ends up dressing him. And at that point, she is going to start getting a little bit more recognition for her styling technique. So, she's hitting it off at the party, hanging out with him. Meanwhile, baby Camille then left and bamming on that boy door. So the girls end up meeting up at the club, and of course, this is after Quinn dresses Seth for the ESPYs or whatever. So she's talking about all the DMs and things that she's getting from people who want her to style them. They're all kikiing and having a good time. Angie ends up walking in with her fiance Mike. I do not think that they are going to get married. At some point, I don't know if it's episode 1 or 2. Angie's all excited because she is rehearsing for a play that she got. She's going to be in the musical Girls Trip. Took Me Out, honey, a Girls Trip musical. Anyway, so we get to see her interact with her one of her theater partners. She's acting with him and things like that. And Mike ends up mentioning the wedding, and he also starts talking about children. And of course, Andrew's like, we can do that after we have kids. And in that moment there, for me, I already kind of wasn't really feeling him for her, or just thought that their relationship seemed like it just was, like it matched, like they just didn't mesh to me. It just seemed like it's more physical than anything. So I was like, you know what? I would not be surprised, and I could be completely wrong, but I would not be surprised if Angie and this guy does not make it. I know this is the final season, and if I'm not mistaken, we're only going to get 6 episodes this season, but I just do not foresee those two um, making it down the aisle. It's just something about him, and I'm wondering if she's going to end the relationship because she just realizes that they're not for each other, or if it is going to end because of something that he is doing that she finds out. You know what I'm saying? Like perhaps he's cheating or something. I don't know. But I just don't foresee the two of them being together. And again, I could be wrong. Nonetheless, they are at the club, they're having a good time, and they're taking shots and things like that. And Camille starts to feel sick, and she ends up vomiting in the club or whatever, and they end up taking her to the emergency room. And so we find out that Camille is pregnant. Now, for me, and I'm sure for many who watched this show, it was obvious that this was going to happen. Last season, when Camille found out that she did not have a normal or average chance of conceiving, I knew then that this was going to be the outcome because of what happened between her and Ian. If you think about it, the way her and Ian got back together, it's almost as if like Camille knew how to pull his puppet strings. You know what I'm saying? Like he was basically tired of her, because he was like, I left my fiance for you. I'm telling you, us not being able to have kids, there are other ways for us to have children. Things. It's like she just didn't want to make it work. Like she does not know what she wants sometimes. You know what I'm saying? It's like Camille just be all over the place. And Ian basically got tired of it. And I knew it when they kept showing them hooking up at the beginning. I said, yeah, she's going to end up pregnant. I felt it in season 2 once she found out that her percentage of having a kid or conceiving was going to be low. I was like, nah. And then the way that the first episode started off this season, I was like, yeah, she's going to be pregnant, and she is. Um, what I like about this show is even though they discuss some very not so funny things, because as we see later on in the episode, she is considering what she's going to do. And but I do like the fact that they incorporate a comedic undertone with it. You know what I'm saying? Because it is a serious matter. I get the whole my body my choice thing, because that is what's going on in real life. Even though I don't like for real world issues to be incorporated in some of the shows, because I kind of want to be distracted when I am being entertained, with movies and television. However, I get it. But we find out that she's pregnant. Her friends are basically clowning her, telling some, you didn't let him pow the club up, whatever. And it's just like, oh, he did it one time. It's just like, well, maybe okay, maybe a couple of more times, but I didn't think I could get pregnant. So she is basically in a conundrum. She just quit her job. Yes, she is writing a book, but it's just like, okay, what am I going to do? So Camille goes to see her OBGYN, and the doctor basically tells her, hello, honey, I said you had a 5% chance. I didn't say it was zero. She was like, but congratulations. This is good, and she said, so far where you are almost out of your first trimester. And so Camille was like, well, doctor, I don't know if I want to continue with the pregnancy or not. And the doctor said, okay, well, just keep in mind, you don't have much time, because again, you are basically coming to the end of your first trimester. And she also tells Camille, she's like, just think about what you want to do. She said, because this may be your only chance to, carry and have your own biological child. She was like, Camille was like, well, if I got pregnant this time, that doesn't mean I can't get pregnant again. She said, not necessarily. She was like, this may be your once in a lifetime chance, to have your own kid. So Camille is just going through the motions and trying to figure out what is going to be best for her and what decision she needs to make. So, she goes to see her girls, they meet for brunch or whatever. She shows her the picture of the ultrasound. Angie's so crazy. She's like, ugh, it looks so funny. I was like, Angie is silly. But Angie's my favorite character anyway, by the way. But anyway, they are, basically they're trying to be there for her. Ty is on the fence of, you don't need to have a baby. You trying to do certain things with your life. That's only going to get in your way. And of course, Quinn is like, no, we're here for you. And, they're trying to tell her support. Angie is basically indifferent. She's like, it is what it is. Whatever you decide to do, you going to do. But we also get to see them at some point in the episode where they do a pro and a con basket, like what's the pros of having a baby and what's the cons or whatever. And they basically are asking Camille too, this like, are you gonna let Ian know? And she was like, I don't know, because I get how she was feeling, because like I said, Ian was just tired of Camille and her games. Like I said, it was like she basically had him like a puppet on a string. And I think once he was able to get out of his feelings for her and move on, I could understand why Camille was hesitant about letting him know about the pregnancy, because she didn't want to be like, God dang it, here I go again, disrupting this man's life. And, she was very hesitant about contacting him, but ultimately she does. Listen, when I saw when they had the phone pop up and you saw the thing said, girl, don't do it. I was like, yo, this is so black. Okay. This is so black. This is so female, honey. And she basically was texting him. It's like, I thought you blocked me. I was like, oh my God, how many times have we heard that? Like, for real. As a woman, and maybe as a guy too, how many times have you heard like, I thought you blocked me while you calling me? But anyway, so, she ends up sending him the photo of the ultrasound, and he, question mark, question mark, question mark. And, she basically goes to see him. So, they're sitting down, they're talking, and he was just telling her, at first he was like, it's always something with you, And goodness, first it was my wedding, now it's this and this and that and the third. And he was like, Portia and I are doing good. We're serious. I'm not just gonna break up with her for you. And Camille was like, I didn't ask you to. And she was like, I don't even know if I'm gonna keep the baby. And of course, Ian was like, I don't have a say. And I was like, wow, real life. Because I hear this often, just conversation that people have where they're like, the man should have a say so as to what he wants to happen to the child that is currently in a process of being baked in the belly. Okay. So when he was like, I don't have a say, she was like, no, it's my body. And he was like, yeah, but that's my child. I should be able to have a say in what you're doing. She's like, no, you don't. And I was like, wow. So I guess stuff like that actually happens for real. Like, of course it does. But just to have them have this serious conversation again, like I said, this show has a lot of comedic under it. Just it's a funny show, it's a dramedy, but just seeing them have this conversation, I was like, wow, um it was very honest and just basically an example of what a lot of people go through when they're faced with situations like this. Because like he was saying, Ian's character, when Ian said, he was like, we're not the first couple to be in a situation like this. Like, people break up all the time and then there's a baby and we have to decide how we want to, proceed with this. And he was like, I'm going to help you. I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to take care of mine. And, Camille, she is just not sure at all. And she basically lets him know, I'm going to make the decision. And ultimately, she does end up calling the clinic who would be in charge of discontinuing the pregnancy. And she ends up making that call because, she calls her mom because the doctor did tell her, you need to call your family and find out about any medical history, any mental health issues and things like that. Honey, when she got on the phone with her mama, I said, that's the mental health issue right there. Let me tell you something. I hope that we get a little bit more background on exactly what is going on with Camille's mom. Because when I tell you she was there, she was on the phone, honey, but she was not there. She was everywhere else. Okay. And Camille was like, Mom, I need to ask you some things. She told her I'm pregnant. And the mom's like, you gonna let me make the baby some booties? I'm like, what is going on with her mom? I am curious to see what that disconnect is between she and her mom, because clearly it is a huge one. You know what I'm saying? Like, her mom was completely like, she didn't even care. And I don't think she didn't care. I don't think she was even coherent enough to just get it. I don't know. So I'm hoping we get a little bit more information about that. But again, after that conversation, Camille just decides, hey, I'm gonna not continue with the pregnancy. And we get to see her make that call. But at the end of the episode 2, we do see Camille change her mind. She basically sends Ian a text message saying, my fear of having a child was being like my mom, but I realized that, something to the effect of that does not define me, and will not define me as a mom. She's basically saying she's going to be completely different from her mom. And she sends him, the text says, congratulations, Dad. And when he getting this text, honey, he is sitting up in the doctor's office, the same OB-GYN that Camille has. Him and Portia got 4 embryos. I think they said 2 boys and 2 girls. So he about to have a baby with Portia. Like, okay, so now I'm wondering what is going to happen. Because what I do not want to happen, I do not want to see Camille get so excited and so prepared to become a mom, and then maybe she ends up losing the baby. I really hope they do not do that. And Ian, with him already letting Camille know from the jump, hey, Portia ain't some fly by night. This is real. I'm not just going to dismiss her because of you. I'm curious to see how this is going to unfold and what exactly Portia is going to do when she finds out that Camille is also having a baby. Because as of right now, Portia is not pregnant, but she did sign paperwork, I'm assuming, to go ahead and start with the in vitro fertilization process. So I'm just curious to see what is going to happen. Overall, I did enjoy these first 2 episodes. I didn't go into detail as much as I wanted to because I'm going to review the rest of the season, of course, but I don't know what's going to happen outside of me thinking that Angie and her fiance are not going to make it down the aisle. I really don't have any thoughts about Ty because Ty is just not one of my favorite characters. I like Quinn. I am glad that she is on her self-reflection journey because, honey, she was all over the place, okay, the past couple of seasons with wanting to be in love and find love. Again, we're going to see what happens with her and Seth, but Camille, I cannot wait to see what the outcome is going to be. And again, I really hope we get a little bit more interaction between her and her mom this season, especially since she's pregnant, just to see exactly where that stems from, that disconnect and somewhat of a dysfunctional relationship that the two of them have. Well, that's all I have for you guys today in this video. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I really, really appreciate the support, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.